Wrestling, set the pace for me. It was something that I started wrestling before, I really knew a lot about MMA. But once I was a 7th and 8th grade, I just wrestled only. And then whenever I made it into high school, The Ultimate Fighter came out, and everyone was freaking out about it. But I was definitely a super fan. My uncle had watched it in the past, and I wasn't really allowed to watch it with him just because it was so bloody. It was bare knuckle fighting basically. So it was, just a little crazy. My parents weren't down with it. And then, once The Ultimate Fighter came out, they made it more of a sport. And, I just got hooked. That was the reason I went to college, was just to become a better wrestler, just to get to the UFC, just to be one of the best fighters. Ryan Cordova, that was like, at the time, that was the big name, because it was like, there's always a circuit everywhere you go. I got to beat this dude, and that the UFC will see me, fight this guy, and they'll give me a call. It's kind of how I literally thought that, which is like, my first fight ever. And, I had no clue what to expect. I came out there, and we threw a couple punches, and I just ducked right into a takedown. And, I did a side kick, hit him right in the cup, dropped him. It was horrible, horrible kick. And then we got back up, and I took him down again and got the choke.
Some people
fighting on this local circuit where people had never even heard of the promotion, to where King of the Cage was something that people could watch on TV. They couldn't really watch my fight live, so it wasn't as cool. But then whenever they gave me him, he was a big opponent. Big name in Oklahoma, and I followed the Oklahoma circuit because that's where I'm from. And when I fought him on King of the Cage, I just thought that that was huge, and I thought that the UFC would be giving me a call the next day. So this promotion, Legacy, and I was like, hey, I'd love for you guys to put me on the card in Allen. So in Allen, Texas, which is right outside of Dallas, UFC matchmaker Mick Maynard, he's like, hey, there's a gym in Dallas. I'd like for you to go there and let this guy take a look at you and see how you do there. And if you do well, then we'll get you on the card. And so I went there and trained. And whenever I came there, it was like one of those things where I knew right away that that's where I had to be to be at the next level, because there was like a team atmosphere there, and every other gym that I went to before was like, it was like you did your own thing and you trained with the jiu-jitsu guys, or you did like maybe a kickboxing class, but there was no MMA program. And whenever I came there was actual legit, a coach running a practice, and it was just about MMA. So, I got hooked for sure. That's why I moved down here. It's because of Mick Maynard. He, referred me to SAFE.
And 03 years, the older Hunter Tucker gives up an inch in height.
Because at the time, that was when Jackson's MMA was like, they were thriving, bumping, whatever. They had a big name, and so he trained there from the beginning. And I knew a lot of guys that actually knew him, that trained with him and stuff, that I didn't really know him. I just know that they trained with him, and I know they were tough. So whenever I found out he was at Jackson's, I thought it was going to be a really tough fight, and I ended up getting him down pretty good and controlled him for the most part. And that's what got me to fight with Leonard Garcia, and that was. That kind of set the tone for me, like saying like, hey, I'm here to compete.
John, you see the rules for stuff the case.
Challenger Jackson, here we go. Michael Chavello, Pat Miletich with you. Jackson, Wizard of Jackson's blue girl. That's why they call Jackson Louise. So impressive in each of those outings. Jackson has finished every outing for the UFC. Jackson has flown under most people's radars. Gonna change hands! Is Damon Jackson gonna do it again?
It's tight, it's tight.
It's good night, Irene! Damon Jackson does it! Damon Jackson brings the house down! My word!
One of those guys, he's like a pioneer for the sport. So for me to go out there and get to compete with him, that was a really big deal for me. And it still is to this day. That's what got me the opportunity to go to the UFC. I don't think I was 100% ready when I made it in, but it was one of those things where I was doing so well, beating a lot of guys with the style I had, and I thought that it would last for a long time. But